Hey everyone, my name is Warner Little, and when getting ready for this discussion, I was just thinking through some things and I decided to look up the definition of psychopathology just in layman's terms. And according to the Oxford Dictionary, psychopathology is the scientific study of mental disorders. However, as a mental health counselor practicing from a Christian worldview, I think there's a little bit more to it than just that. So I did a little bit more research, and authors Richard Burtman and Mark Yarhouse approached the study of psychopathology in a different manner. Because of their faith, they view it as the study of the calamities of the soul. And they say that the soul encompasses all parts of man instead of just the mind, which is the general definition of psychopathology. I personally really like their approach because instead of focusing on just the dysfunction and the dysfunctional factors and the distress, they acknowledge the emotional and psychological struggles that affect the full being of a human being. The Greek word for psyche is actually psyche in translation, and this means breath or spirit. It embodies more than just mind. It embodies the fullness of the soul, the mind, the body, the spirit. And this really supports Burtman and Yarhouse's approach and their view of psychopathology. In transitioning to abnormality, the first verse that just really comes to mind when I think of that word is Psalm 139:14, and that reads, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well." The Bible is just full of stories of Christ walking with abnormal people, eating with them, forgiving them, redeeming them, healing them. And I think that's just such a standard that we should look to, is that as the world sees them as abnormal, Christ saw them as worthy. As Christians, we're called to be set apart from the world, to look different from the world. And we're also commanded to love all of Christ's creation, whether that be normal in our standards or abnormal. However, in the secular world that we live in, I think this idea has been misconstrued. Abnormalities of the brain, mental disorders, while getting better, it's still very taboo, especially in places like where I live in the Deep South. It's just not a conversation that has been had, and it is getting a little bit better, but it's still very uncommon. However, social abnormalities such as social views or practices or whatever it may be are very celebrated in our culture. We're encouraged to do whatever makes us happy, regardless of the consequence or what we're instructed to do. And I think this misconstruction is part of a very fallen world, which is obvious in the views between what the Bible says about abnormality and what our world says about abnormalities.